Hey everyone, welcome to Work Hard Dream Big podcast with your host, Shelby McGill, and guest, Meghan Patrick. You guys don't want to miss this interview. Me and Meghan talk a lot about music, talk a lot about hunting, we talk a lot about relationships. Meghan even gave me a little interesting recipe that you deer hunters might find as interesting as I did. So make sure and check it out. Let us know what you think, and we appreciate you so much for listening and downloading, streaming. This, my friends, is Meghan Patrick.
My baby's so underrated. In a plain white tee and his blue jeans faded. My best kept secret, he's my all-time favorite. He don't put on a show, so I'm the only one who knows it. My baby's so underrated. His first kiss.
How was your
for sure.
Christmas?
It was great. It was, it was a good little break for Mitchell and I. We did Christmas Eve here with his family in Nashville, and then we flew up to Canada for a couple days to see my family. So he got to have his first Canadian Christmas and see a little bit of snow. But yeah, it was great. We had a good time.
What was the biggest difference between your Christmas and his?
There's not really anything. He just has a bigger family than me, because for my family, my mom is American, so all her family is still in the States. And then my dad has just his one brother who doesn't live close to us either. And all of my grandparents have passed now too. So we just don't have as much family around as he does, where his whole family is kind of here. So it's just a little bit more people around, but it was great. We had a good time.
That's good. Mine was really busy. We do my Christmas and my boyfriend's Christmas, but we're all right here about the same place, and it's just a million houses, and you got to spend time with everyone. So Christmas is always chaotic for me.
Yeah, I mean, I like that though, because it's funny because, I always think it's fun when I get to go to somebody else's Christmas that has like a big family and people everywhere and stuff. Whereas Mitchell's like, I kind of liked how quiet your family Christmas was. So I guess it's whatever, you're not used to. So
yeah. How long have y'all been together?
We've been together a year now.
A year? Congratulations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been a good year.
I see big things happening for you guys. So congratulations to him and you for that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been a good year for sure.
Yeah. Did you guys make any New Year's goals or resolutions?
I mean, I think we both always would like to maybe like eat healthier and get to the gym more, but not really. I mean, I think, we both had a great year, so we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. I know we both have a lot of goals we want to hit for, just within our careers and stuff. So we're just going to kind of keep on the path we're on.
It seems to be working, so why not, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So talking a little bit about your music, when and why did you start pursuing music?
Well, it was kind of always a part of my life just growing up. Like my parents are both just big music lovers. My dad plays guitar a little bit, just kind of as a hobby. He's never really done it like professionally or anything, but and then my mom, she was a DJ in college, so we just kind of, I don't know, we grew up where it was kind of like we didn't really get to watch a lot of TV or anything. We just kind of always had music playing. My mom would play records all the time, and so it was just kind of always around. And even when we were in the car, we always had the radio on or something playing or music playing. And then I think I was about 12, maybe 13, the first time I ever started singing in public. I auditioned for like a school musical or something, and everybody's like, oh wow, like you can really sing, like you should take some lessons. So I did start taking lessons, and then I continued that all the way through high school. And then when it came time to figure out, college and all that, I was also a competitive snowboarder during that time.
Really?
All through high school. Yeah. And so I was kind of more focused on that at a point, and I was kind of wanting to pursue that once I got out of high school. And then I had a really bad injury. I broke my back and my collarbone and got a really bad concussion. And so that kind of put the brakes on things. And during that time, I kind of started refocusing more on music, and it was a big part of my healing process too, kind of coming out of that. So I ended up going to college to study music, although the program I went to was kind of more based around like either classical or jazz. And I mean, I definitely found things that I liked in both of those genres, but I was never really passionate about the genres themselves. It was more just music in general. And I started, because my roots in music had always been like, my dad was really into the blues and like classic rock stuff. So I loved singing that kind of stuff. And then my mom listened to a lot of like Southern rock and more like kind of folk, Americana, and a little bit of country stuff too. And I had started playing in a bluegrass band, and that was the first time where I'd been playing and singing music where I really felt like this is what I should be doing. Like, this feels like home. This feels like my music. And so that kind of transitioned into country. And so that's how I ended up doing country, because it just kind of transitioned from the folk and bluegrass kind of stuff. And it just felt like home. And when I would write songs, it always kind of, went in that direction. So yeah. And then I just, it kind of reached a point where I just was like, I don't want to do anything else. I can't imagine myself doing anything else. And so I gotta pursue this one way or the other.
So what about that makes you inspired? What inspires you to perform and write songs? Being down, I imagine breaking your back is not something easy to come back from at all.
No. I spent a lot of time kind of being bedridden and not really being able to do anything. And, there's only so much TV you can watch and books you can read. And so I just spent a lot of time listening to music and just kind of just writing stuff down. And then when my parents gave me my first guitar when I graduated from high school, but I never really seriously picked it up and actually kind of made an effort to play it until I was probably about maybe like 20, 21
Wow.
or so. Yeah. So, I mean, I could play a couple chords, but I never got really into it until I started playing in this bluegrass band. So when I met the other lead singer in the band, he was this amazing guitar player, and he had grown up on bluegrass, and so that was like very much in his roots. And he had heard me play at an open mic. We were from the same hometown, and I heard him play, and we just became friends. And that kind of triggered me to want to be a better guitar player. I think mostly just because, I just was writing a lot. I was starting to write a lot of lyrics, and I didn't want to have to like depend on somebody else to write a song. Like, I wanted to be able to sit down on my own, whether it was a guitar or a piano or whatever, and be able to kind of write my own song. And then when I met him, and we would just like hang out and jam together, and we started writing songs together. He would write these guitar parts that he knew were above my abilities. But, I think he did it because he knew me, and he knew there was no way I was going to admit that they were too hard for me to play. Yeah. So instead I would just go home and sit there and practice it and play it till my fingers bled. And then, that kind of, we started as like a duo, and people just really loved it, and it kind of took off. And we said, well, let's put a band together. So we got an upright bass player and a fiddle player, and we put a couple records together. We did a few tours, and, we did it pretty seriously for a while, and it was great. But I think it just reached a point that almost everybody else in the band had kind of a backup plan or another job that they could fall back onto, and I didn't. And as much as I loved bluegrass, I mean, it's a very specific kind of niche, and it's really tough to really go mainstream with it, because it really isn't mainstream, and there's it's hard to make a career out of it, unless you are Rhonda Vincent or Alison Krauss or whatever. And I was finding too that the stuff that I was writing was really kind of more in the more like mainstream modern country vein than it was bluegrass. And so I think we all just kind of got to a point where we wanted to pursue other things, and so we kind of went our separate ways. We're all still very good friends, and actually the fiddle player still plays in my band now to this day. So we've been playing together for over 10 years. So yeah, it's just been quite a journey, but it all brought me to right where I'm at. I mean, I feel very lucky, and I feel like I owe a lot to the Stone Sparrows and to Sam, who is our other singer. I mean, he was the first person I ever really learned how to write a song with and spent a lot of time writing with. He made me a better guitar player. We got to tour a bunch together, and got me that bug for just wanting to be on the road and wanting to play all the time. That was kind of what made me realize that this is it for me. So, I'm really grateful for all of that I got to experience.
those kind of people are the kind of people that you want in your life forever. So
Yeah, for sure.
So being a guitar player, I seen that you opened for Keith Urban, correct?
Yes, yeah, I did.
How crazy was that?
It was crazy. It was a couple years ago. It was Canada Day. So I was really excited to open for him, period. And then my manager got a call just about a week before, and his management had called her and said, would Meghan be interested in singing with Keith on We Were Us, the duet he did with Miranda. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes,
Is that even
like
a
holy
question?
shit, yes, yeah, like what? Yes, yes. And so I was like super, super nervous, but he is so, so kind. I mean, he's very, very down to earth. He was very sweet. I felt him and his whole team really went out of their way to make sure I was comfortable and everything was good. And it was a pretty incredible experience for sure. And it's funny because I really don't get stage fright a lot. I'm usually pretty like calm and good on stage just because I've been performing for a long time. So, it's not something I usually struggle with, but I was definitely a little bit nervous when I walked out on stage for sure.
I would imagine. But, I mean, it doesn't. When it comes to guitar, it doesn't get. When you come to country music in general, Keith Urban is one of the greatest. I mean, point blank. So that makes me excited for you, and I wasn't even there.
Yeah, no,
That's crazy.
It was definitely a bucket list moment for sure.
I bet. So let's talk about your album. Country Music Made Me Do It.
Mm-hmm.
How was that process? What was it like putting all that together and seeing it in the end finished and people streaming it? What was that like?
I mean, it was, this album I'm really proud of. I'm proud of all of my records. But this one felt like, because the first record, I've been putting out music. I mean, I've put out plenty of records before I signed my actual official record deal. But this was, so my first record was Warner. I mean, I was very proud of it, but at the same time, because I was a new artist and a new signing and stuff, there were songs that we kind of had to like pick and choose songs that kind of covered a few different bases just to see, what people responded to and what they didn't. So, there were a few songs on the first record that, might not have been my first pick. I mean, they were all songs that I wrote, so they were still coming from me. But, they wanted to see what people liked and what people didn't. And, after the first record came out, I feel like we had a really good idea of what resonated with people. And I was happy to see that it was the songs that I wanted them to like and that I hoped would resonate with them. And so the second record was great because I felt like I was given even more freedom to kind of go further down the path that I wanted to with the music and choose songs that felt, just genuine and real to me. And, and once again, I think that the fans really responded to the ones that I thought that they would. And it's just kind of a process of figuring out because, on the one hand, of course, I'm always going to be me. I mean, anything I put on these records is genuine. I mean, I write all the songs myself, but it's also, it's as much of a journey for me figuring out who I am as an artist exactly and why people like me. Because at the end of the day, I want to give my fans music they love. It's not just about me and what I want. It's about what they want. So,
yeah,
I feel like this. Yeah. And I feel like I feel like this album just gave me an even greater insight into what people love about me and what they maybe don't respond to as much. So I'm really excited to dig in and get this next record done because I feel like I have a better idea of who I am and who, the aspects of me that my fans like better than ever. So, and this was the first record too that because my first album, I worked with a couple different producers, which was really cool. I mean, Vince Gill was one of them, which was an amazing experience.
Oh gosh.
So that was just like, just as an experience to even meet him and work with him was so incredible. But then on this new record, I had one producer for the whole thing, Jeremy Stover, and he was great. And so I kind of liked, and I wanted that specifically because I wanted everything to be cohesive, and I wanted it all to flow together and feel like it fit together. And so it was kind of cool being able to sit down with him and talk about the album as a whole and figure out, what to do with everything to make it all kind of fit together. So it was a different experience, which was really cool.
That is. So I downloaded your album and I was listening to it, honestly, for like the past month on repeat. And I shared it with my best friend, and she was talking to me about it. And I'm just going to say the entire album is amazing.
Thank you.
For somebody who is not Miranda Lambert, Carrie Underwood, doesn't have, that publicity, I was blown away.
Wow, thank you.
And so
that means a lot.
a few that stood out to me, and I could possibly tell you why or could not, but that's not important. But Walls Come Down, The Bad Guy, Underrated, and Feel Me Gone were probably the 4 favorites to me.
Well, thank you.
Job well done.
Well, thank you. The Bad Guy is probably my favorite on the record. And I mean, Walls, that was my first number 1 in Canada, which was awesome. And then, Feel Me Gone is the only song on the record I didn't write on.
Really?
And it was, but Kelly Archer was one of the writers on it. And if you look on the writer credits, her and I wrote, I think, almost half the record together. So I had been sent that song and she was singing on it. And I was just like, holy shit, like this song is amazing. And it was something that, like, when I listened to it, I was like, I didn't write it, but I could see myself writing this, and I could, I can understand it and I can relate to it.
Yeah.
Because for me, because I write so much, it is pretty rare that I'll cut a song that somebody else wrote, just because, not because it's not an ego thing or anything. It's just more that, I don't, it's rare that I hear a song that somebody else wrote that I really relate to.
Yeah.
And that feels personal to me. So that was one of them. And I thought it was great. And then, Underrated it's funny because that's been kind of a black sheep sort of underdog, I think, on the record, because, when I went in to write it, I was just like, I had a lot of kind of Motown influence when I was growing up. My mom listened to a lot of Motown stuff, and I still love listening to that. And so I was just kind of in that mood. I was like, I kind of want to write something that's got a bit of a Motown feel to it. Chris Stapleton did it with the Thomas Rhett song. What's it called?
I know what you're talking about.
Crashing Net, whatever. You know the song I'm talking
Crash and
about.
Burn.
Anyway, Crash and Burn. Thank you. So that was kind of like the inspiration for that. And it kind of it was kind of like a, let's just write this for fun sort of thing. And then everybody really loved it. So that one became kind of an underdog, which is cool. So
it is. Feel Me Gone and Underrated, I kind of related to on a personal level. And I think everyone really does. Feel Me Gone is one of those songs where I feel everyone at some point feels neglected in some relationship in their life. So to me, that song was like, that's one of the favorites. But what does a writing session consist of? Is there 3, 4, 2? How many of you guys are in a writing session at a time?
Usually, like on average, like usually I would get in a room with 2 other people, so there'd be 3 people total. Especially if you look at writer credits, there's definitely a lot of songs where you see it's like a 4-way, right? And especially if you look in like pop music, I mean, you get 4 to 6 writers sometimes on a song. That to me is just, I personally don't like having more than 3 people in the room, because to me it just gets too muddy, and especially if you're in a room with a lot of people who are strong personalities and are very opinionated. Like I'm very outspoken in a room, not in like an aggressive way or anything, but like I speak my mind, and especially, if we're writing a song for me, then I'm going to be very vocal about, what I like and what I don't, because, and I learned, that there's nothing wrong with that writers want you to do that, because at the end of the day, like, because, I feel like you worry sometimes that like if you're too assertive, then they're going to think you're a bitch or something.
Yeah.
But, it's the reality is that, if you don't like something and you don't say something about it, then you're not going to cut the song. And then that's not good for anybody.
Yeah.
So because the end goal for everybody is for the artist to get a song that they love and want to cut, and for the songwriters to get a cut.
Yeah.
So
and if you're going to
have to be
perform
able
it,
to speak
then
up.
you're gonna need to like it enough to perform it well enough for the fans. So
Yeah, absolutely.
if you don't
For
relate
sure.
to it enough, then it's just not there. That makes
no,
sense.
I agree. So yeah, I mean, I think usually I've started doing a lot more just two-way writes as well. And actually, one of my New Year's resolutions was to try and just write by myself more often. Even if I don't finish the song, or even if it's just bits and pieces, I think just kind of keeping those muscles, so to speak, in shape, and just always writing and kind of learning more about yourself as a writer. Because sometimes when you get in a room with really established or really experienced writers, it can get easy for you to kind of get lost in the mix, so and it's harder for you to kind of spread your wings and learn about yourself as a writer and kind of speak your piece. So I think it's important to sit down on your own sometimes and just kind of not have anything else to fall back on and just kind of put things into your own way. I think that's one of the best ways to improve as a writer. So
Yeah, it seems like the more people you get involved, the more persuaded you are to think one way when, that's not really you. So
yeah, for sure.
the less seems better.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
have you and Mitchell talked about doing a duet together? I saw a lot of people on Facebook talking about it.
Oh man, I know we definitely have a lot of people that want that. I mean, we haven't had any kind of real meaningful conversations about doing it. I mean, Mitchell and we write together a little bit, but honestly, we're both so busy. It's just like a lot of times when we're at home, we just want to like do nothing and just lay on the couch,
Yeah.
I'm sure, I think for us, like we're both very like independent people, and we're both very focused, on our own careers. And I think it's really important for both of us, in a sense, to kind of like, we're not trying to use our relationship to like forward our careers in any way. If that makes any sense. And so I think that it's important that, I mean, it's not like it's a secret that we're together. Obviously, we do post about each other and stuff, but we're not trying to make it a part of like our identity as artists, So I think if it comes naturally, I think if we ever did do a duet, it would be because, one night we just happen to sit down and write a song that we love and it just feels right. I don't think we're going to try and force it or anything like that. I think, I love writing. He's a great writer. He's one of the most talented writers I've ever known. And so I'm sure that at one point when we both have time to slow down for a minute, we might sit down and write something. So,
well, I'm sure when the time comes, it'll be pretty badass. So I'll be waiting for it.
Yeah, well, I think it'll be interesting because Mitchell and I have very different styles of music. We kind of have different sounds and everything. So it'll be interesting to see what a duet would sound like with us, where we're kind of trying to put together both of our worlds, so to speak. Because I mean, we've written before where, we're writing something for him or we're writing something for me, where we know what we're going for. But it'd be interesting to see, when we sit down as both of us trying to find something that fits us both, what that turns into. So
yeah, is it hard dating someone in the same business as yourself?
No. I mean, honestly, I think it depends on the type of person that you are. I mean, I understand why it's really difficult for other people to date somebody who's in the industry, especially if you are not in the industry. For me, I think it's a big part of why we work because, like I said, we're both very independent. We're both very driven and very focused on our careers. And, so it feels, I think for me and for him too, in the past, it's been really difficult, where we felt like we were always kind of in trouble or like feeling guilty for being gone and for being busy and for being so laser focused on what we were doing that, the people that we were with, felt neglected or, they just couldn't understand why we had to do the things we had to do. But, for Mitchell and I mean, we're doing the same thing. It's like, I mean, we certainly miss each other, and there are times where we'd like to be able to be with each other for certain events or certain things, and we just can't. And that part is kind of difficult, but in the grand scheme of things, it works great because, I think we both, we have that trust in our relationship and in each other, that we can just kind of live our own lives and do what we've got to do. And at the end of the day, we either whether we get to see each other or just talk on the phone, we kind of catch up, and we're there for each other, but we're still able to be our own people, which I think is really important for both of us.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys have a very good understanding about each other's careers and time, and
Yeah, absolutely.
once.
Absolutely.
So that's healthy. Good job.
It is, it is tough though sometimes, I think, because, sometimes it's hard. We've had conversations before where I've been, frustrated with something to do with music or business. And, and we're both very passionate people and very opinionated. And, things will get a little bit heated, and he'll just be like, okay, do you need me to be your boyfriend right now? Or do you need me to be like your friend and advise you on the industry? And I'm like, okay, valid point. And, sometimes, but that's the thing is, we both, it's business for us both. And so, but then sometimes it's like, no, you know what? I just need you to be my girlfriend, or I just need you to be my boyfriend right now.
Yeah.
And, and that's that. So in a sense, it's been kind of interesting kind of learning that aspect of it. But I think we've navigated things pretty well. So.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. When I reached out to you, I mean, I had heard your music and listened to your music, but as far as like your social media, I hadn't really gone through it, or whatever, and his neither. And I had no idea you guys were even together whenever I reached out to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I found out, I was like, there's just a whole nother talking point right there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, it's like I said, it's not like a big secret or anything that we're dating.
Yeah.
I mean, we post about each other. It's just not, there are some artists that they just post constantly, and it's like, it's a part of like who they are. And we just didn't want it to be that way. I mean, in a lot of ways, we kind of keep things separate. And again, it's not to like hide anything. I just think it's healthy for our relationship to keep some parts of it just private. That's just for us,
Hey, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But here on this next question is going to get a little deep, so
Okay.
be prepared. So when you look back being a kid and watching Dolly or listening to Dolly or Loretta Lynn on TV or the radio, did you ever imagine that you'd have the same opportunities or impact on other children that were your age then? Do you think about that?
No. Yeah. And it's not something I thought about back then. I mean, I think I would look at it, and, the women that inspired me that were successful artists and stuff, I looked at it like, I want that. I want to be that. But it never really kind of occurred to me the sort of full circle effect of, like you said, all of a sudden, it's still weird to me to think that there are little girls out there that think that way about me.
Yeah.
Because like for me, like I still don't even really see myself as like being famous or being a celebrity or being, the way I looked at Dolly or Loretta or whatever. It's still kind of a weird thing. And but it's interesting because in a lot of ways, I mean, it's great. Like it feels good to know that, but it adds a kind of another layer of sort of just pressure and consideration in what I do. And certainly, I sometimes I struggle with that because I absolutely want to be a great role model for young women and for the little girls out there. But at the same time, the kind of music that I make, I'm not making music for 12-year-olds or 9-year-olds. I'm not a Kelsey Ballerini or a Miley Cyrus back in the day or whatever. I'm 31 years old, so I'm making music that is primarily for adults. So sometimes it is a bit of a struggle because, I want to make sure that everything I put out there is kind of appropriate, I guess you could say. But then there's a different side to me too that is kind of a middle finger up, not give a shit kind of person.
Yeah,
too.
you have to be.
So, but no, it's really, really cool when I get to see like young girls. I mean, it's kind of rare that I have shows that are all ages, but like when I get to do festivals and stuff like that, and I see little girls out there with their signs and they come to my meet and greet and stuff, and I see myself in them, and I just think how cool that is that I get to be that to a little girl,
Yeah. I mean, I have no musical talent. I play the guitar a little bit, but kind of like your dad, just as a hobby. And so for me to be able to talk to you guys and share your story and be a part of that. One day whenever you do whatever, I can say, wow, I got to hear their story before their story began, really, or during.
Yeah, for sure.
And so for me, and I'm 21, I turned 22 here shortly. So to me, that's a big thing. And I can't imagine being, 10, 11, 12 years old, seeing you performing or whatever, and be like, wow, that's going to be me one day. So I'm
Yeah,
sure for
it's
you,
crazy.
it's a big proud moment.
Yeah, it's crazy to think, to just look back on how far I've come, and to see all that kind of through somebody else's eyes too, and somebody else's perspective, for sure.
I seen on your Facebook and Instagram, you're a big hunter.
Yep.
Let's talk, girl. Let's talk.
Okay.
Okay. What? So Mitchell goes with you also, correct?
Yeah, sometimes. It's rare that we both get time together, but yeah, we do try and get out together when we can.
So is there like a competition? Who kills the bigger buck?
Oh, absolutely. We are
Okay.
very competitive.
All right, then I got a story for you. So this year, me and my boyfriend, we hunt every year together. We've been together almost 5 years, and I shot his buck this year.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, girl, I'm still hearing about it. I'll be hearing about it in 30 years.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
And it makes it worse. I was sick opening morning. The second day of opening day of rifle season, I was like, I'm just going to tough it out. Well, he was like, just go hunt my stand. It's closer to the cabin. It's not that far of a walk, and the blind is
And where
quieter.
y'all at?
We hunt in eastern Oklahoma.
Okay,
Yeah, almost Arkansas border.
gotcha.
And I was like, no, I'll go hunt mine. He said, no, go hunt mine. There's a 7-point buck, a messy 7-point buck that needs to be taken out of there. Go kill that. I was like, okay. Well, he had a 9-point in there that's been there. He's been after this buck for 3 years now. He's never had a picture of this buck in the daylight. He's never seen it in the daylight. Nothing. About 9 o'clock in the morning, this buck comes strutting through. And of course, I'm not going to let that buck walk by. Absolutely not.
No, of course. Why would you?
Yeah. It's not like he had his name written on it already. So
Yeah, exactly.
I killed it, and now it's hanging on my wall, not his. So I figured you might have a story of the same sort.
Well, not really with Mitchell. The only time we've really gotten to hunt together, we went out dove hunting together, which was great. We both killed a bunch. But we've never really gotten to go. We've only been, actually, no, we haven't been deer hunting on it all together. This year was really hard because we're both so busy at different times. And then we've been out turkey hunting together, but no, we've never really had anything like that. I mean, I had my first buck that I shot back in Canada. I think there were some old boys around town that were kind of pissed about it because I guess they'd been watching this. He was big 10-point, and he dressed out at 250. So he was just a monster, just huge.
That makes my head look like a baby.
Well, I think we just got bigger body deer in Canada.
Yeah, even in Illinois. I said,
oh yes,
Illinois.
They are very similar size wise for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was funny because I didn't really grow up hunting. I didn't have a dad or anybody in my family that hunted. It was something that I came into just on my own. I had a lot of friends. I was always kind of a tomboy and I liked fishing and stuff. And so a lot of the guys that I would fish with and that I was friends with, they hunted. And, I think one time we were at one of my buddy's houses and he had smoked some venison and duck breast. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. What is this? And he says, it's deer. And I was like, I gotta get me some of this. So I went out and got my hunting license and my gun license and everything. And I said, I'm like, will you take me out and kind of show me the ropes? And so the guys did, they all, kind of taught me everything they knew. And I started hunting as part of their kind of hunt club or whatever. And then the first year I went out deer hunting, I didn't get anything, didn't even see anything. But the next year, I went out, I ended up getting my own property, two new properties that I was hunting. And the one property I had was really big. It was 150 acres. And I thought this is it. This is the honey hole. There was tracks everywhere. And so I spent, I think the first 3.5 days hunting this spot and I didn't see anything. And I was so frustrated. So I ended up going into the other property and I brought my boyfriend at the time. He came in with me and he ended up shooting at a buck that morning. And I was like, figures, I bring him into my property and he shoots a buck. And unfortunately, we never found it, which I know just broke his heart, because I mean, he's been hunting his whole life. He's a great shot. I don't know what happened, but I think we might have jumped him maybe when we were looking for him, and so he was pretty tore up about that. And I ended up going back into the same spot the next day. I didn't want to, but all the other spots were kind of taken, and I was like, well, whatever, I guess I'll hunt here. And it was like the last maybe 10 minutes of daylight when this big buck walked in, and he walked in behind me, which I wasn't expecting. And the wind was not in my favor, and I wasn't in a stand. I was literally sitting on the ground with my back up against the stump. So I turned my head and I saw him, and he had come in he's probably at about 60 or 70 yards at this point. And so I'm like, I've got to get turned around and get a shot at him without him like smelling, hearing me, seeing me. Like, there's just no way. Like, in my mind, I've already lost the biggest buck I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
But somehow I managed to get turned around, and I pulled up on him, waited for him to stop in a position where I had a clear shot, and took the shot. He took off running. I shot at him again. I just really did not want him to get away. I mean, I felt really good about it, but I was like, I'm doing a just in case shot too. And so I did hit him twice, actually. And I remember, so I called the guys, and I was freaking out. I don't think I've ever felt adrenaline like that in my life. And I've played some big stages, and you know, I've done some pretty cool stuff with music, but I don't think I've ever felt that way. And so they're like, all right, well, just wait a bit. Don't go looking for him yet. Give it a minute. So
that's the longest wait of your life.
Oh my gosh, I know. So I finally get up, and because it's getting dark now at this point. So I'm like looking, so I walk over and I'm looking for blood, and I can't find blood anywhere. And I thought, oh my God, I missed him. Like, this is it. I missed the biggest buck. Like, I'll probably never see another buck like that in my life. It's done. And I was so upset. And, but I remember when I'd shot him, he took off and he ran probably about 100 yards, and then he stopped at this one little tree and then kept going. And I remember thinking, like, okay, either he stopped because he's hurt and he's dying, or because, you know, he's kind of just like, oh, what was that?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm just going to go over to that tree. And if there's no blood there, then I missed, and I'll know. So I start walking up there, and just as I'm about to hit this tree, still haven't found any blood. It turns out I was just like, you know, maybe 6 feet off to the side of where the blood trail was, but it was dark and it was leaves, so I couldn't see it. And so I walk up and I look over to the right, and I just see this huge rack just laying there next to this tree. And it was just probably the greatest moment of my entire life. And it was funny. I walked up to it, and I was so amped up. I just grabbed the horns and just started dragging it out. And it was freaking heavy. Like, this thing was a beast. And so I called the guys, and I said, all right, I need you to come help me get him out or whatever. And so they get there. And I bring him over, and they're just like, holy shit, like, this is the biggest buck anybody's ever shot at the camp. And like, they're all pumped for me. And I said to them, I was like, they're like, so wait, so if you're sitting over there, you know, how come you didn't, if he dropped here, how come you didn't see him? I said, well, that's not where I found him. And they said, well, what do you mean? I said, I found him over there. And they're like, you moved him? And I said, yeah. They're like, no, you didn't. I was like, well, yeah. I'm like, do you see anybody else in the woods out here?
Yeah, it's just me, buddy.
I'm like, I can lift a fucking Chevy right now. You don't even know.
Yeah, adrenaline's going that much. You can do anything.
Yeah. So anyway, so it was quite the celebration that night. We hung him up and cleaned him and everything. And that was the first time I ate deer heart too. And I was kind of like,
oh, you did it.
Yeah, they told me, they're like, you got to eat the heart.
You
I was like,
fell
what?
for
I was like,
it.
no, it was delicious.
What?
We cooked it. Yeah, it was great. It was really good. No. I'm telling you, I do it now. I do it every time now. If I get a deer, you take it, you clean it, you boil it a little bit, and then you slice it up and saute it in butter and garlic and onion, and throw a little beer or red wine in there. I'm telling you, it's delicious.
I've never ever heard that. I've heard the old Indian wise tale of you take a bite of it in the woods when you kill it.
Oh yeah, no, that was not. I did not do that. That would be a no for me.
Yeah, and I've never done that. I've never boiled it or anything. But most of the time, I don't think there's been a deer I've killed and the heart was intact.
Yeah, very true.
Because I killed a 14-point buck with my dad.
Oh wow.
He was cool. He was old. I was 15, 16, and he came in. I was hunting my uncle's stand. To this day, still don't live that one down either. and was hunting his stand, and he came in chasing a doe, and I shot him. That was the coolest hunt of my life. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't get those kind of moments with your dad.
Mm-mm.
And so, yeah, I'll have to try it. I'm intrigued. I'll
I'm
have to
telling
try
you,
boiling it.
I mean, it depends. Like, if you like organ meat, like some people don't like the
Gamey
texture of it and
taste.
stuff. It's not even that it's gamey. It's just more like the texture, I think, of it. But
Huh.
yeah, I mean, you can. The other thing you could do, like, you can also so you could clean it and then let it sit in milk for a little bit. Like, just put it in like a bowl and put it in milk and set it in the fridge, and then boil it for a little bit, and then you just slice it up kind of thin, and then just saute it with garlic, butter, onions, and you can throw either beer or red wine on it. I'm telling you, it's really good.
Huh. I have never, ever heard that.
Either that or I was just really drunk when I tried it and I thought it was really good. I don't know.
I'm going to assume that's the case because just feeling it doesn't even feel like it would cook well.
Yeah, I mean, I've cooked it since when I was sober and I still liked it, but I don't know. Maybe I'm weird.
I'll try it and let you know next year.
All right.
I'm going to. I'm going to shoot it in the neck just so I can do that.
Okay.
But that's cool. That's cool. Do you and Mitchell have a place together that you guys can hunt together? You just don't really have time to?
Yeah, I mean, I've got that spot up in Southern Illinois, and he's welcome to come up there with me. It just never worked out. I mean, with his new record and everything going on, I mean, he's just been on tour so steady. So it's like, if he did have a few days off, he kind of just want to be at home. But then I've got a spot here too, just outside of Nashville in Goodlettsville, that we've been out there to hunt turkey before. And actually he was supposed to come out there deer hunting with me, before Christmas, and somebody slept in. So he didn't come with me. And I was so hoping, I was like, God, let me just shoot a huge, huge deer so I can rub it in his face for sleeping.
Oh, he would be so mad.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's funny. Yeah, whenever I shot my boyfriend's deer, he was trying really, really hard to be congratulatory and, proud, but you could just see it was eating him alive.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then he had a terrible year. I mean, he'd missed 2 bucks. I mean, he'd wounded a doe, and he just had a terrible year. And I felt so bad I killed this deer, but I mean, if I wasn't going to kill it, the neighbors were going to kill it. That's my philosophy. Exactly.
No, for sure.
So,
well, and if situation were reversed, I mean, he would have shot it.
Oh, yeah, and he wouldn't have thought twice about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have been so proud.
That's right. That's right.
So I seen on Instagram you were back in the studio. Any teasers on new music?
Yeah, we're just kind of figuring that out right now. We're just kind of making a plan. It seems like the music industry is kind of slow to get back to work, I guess. So I'm just waiting for everybody else to kind of get back on track so we can make a game plan. But yeah, I've just been writing a bunch. I've been in the studio just kind of doing demos and stuff to figure out, what we want to cut. So we haven't officially gone into the studio for the new record yet, but I'm hoping to do that in the next couple months. We're just kind of figuring it all out when everybody's available, but we'll definitely have new music out for, like late spring, summer for sure. So we're just kind of figuring out the timeline of that. I'm really excited about the new music. We're also going to be releasing it down here as well. Which, I mean, my music's always been available in the US and Canada, but this will be the first time we're going to do an actual kind of promotional push down here and hopefully start booking more shows down in the US to promote it, and go to radio and all that kind of stuff. So we're just kind of figuring out what that looks like. It's a little bit of a different situation for me, obviously being Canadian and having a Canadian record deal. So it's kind of like a joint venture type thing between my label and who we're going to partner with down here. So yeah. So we're just kind of figuring out the logistics of that right now. But yeah, I'm really excited to get the new music out for sure.
Well, I look forward to it. I'm sure there's a lot of other people that are too.
Yeah, I think so. I think I think my fans are ready for some new music, and I'm definitely ready to start getting back on the road and playing new music. So
yeah. Well, to end here, I don't want to keep you forever, but I want to ask you a couple of fun questions.
Okay.
You got to be honest. Don't lie.
Okay. All right.
All right. So what's the most embarrassing thing that's happened to you on stage?
Oh, that's easy. one time I was playing. I used to sing in this 10-piece funk R&B kind of band. When I was in college. It was just kind of for fun, and we were on tour. We did a bunch of touring through the summer, and we were doing this big festival in Vermont, and it was kind of this like hippie type festival. And I was walking around before the show, looking at the vendors and stuff, and there was this really pretty kind of hippie like dress that this girl was selling, and I liked it, and we started talking, and she said, well, I'll give it to you if you wear it on stage. I mean, I was so broke. I was like, yeah, hell yeah, I'll wear it on stage. So it was kind of like a halter type thing, and I couldn't really wear anything underneath. And so I wore it out on stage. We're coming to the end of the first song, and I kind of like did like a fist pump thing or whatever, like threw my arm up, and the strap snapped and my whole boob came out.
Oh no.
And I was pretty quick like I felt it, and I think I recovered pretty quickly. So I think it's unlikely that too many people saw it, but it definitely happened. And then I had to look at my band and run off stage, and they didn't know what was going on. I was like, well, I need to like fix this dress because my boob just popped out in front of everybody. So yeah, that was pretty embarrassing.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's kind of funny.
Oh yeah, it's hilarious, but definitely embarrassing at the time.
Hilarious. Wow. I couldn't imagine.
No, it was, I mean, like I said, it was a hippie fest. Everybody there was pretty stoned.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, half the girls there were probably going to be walking around with their boobs out anyway, but it was still not my thing.
Yeah, oh man. So what's the craziest thing a fan has ever done?
I mean, I have fans that have gotten like tattoos of my signature or like my lyrics, which I don't want to say crazy, like in a negative way. It's just like, wow, like that's crazy that you love me or my music that much.
Dude, that's forever.
That's forever.
You're on them forever.
So I would say that's pretty crazy, but not like in a bad way. I mean, I'm certainly not like, not like I'm making fun of them or think it's a bad thing. It's just crazy to me that somebody would be that passionate about like me or my music. So
yeah, I'm a huge Carrie Underwood fan. Actually, I might get a tattoo of some like Jesus Take the Wheel lyrics. Not her name.
Hey, I mean, initials. I've got Merle Haggard lyrics tattooed on my body, so I mean, really? It's not that weird, but it's crazy to me that a fan would, would do that for me,
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So, if you had one superhero power, what would your power be?
Damn, I think it would be. I'd want to be able to like teleport.
Really?
Or fly. Yeah, I mean, I think like I don't know when you're on the road and you're really missing people, or like you have to miss things because you're gone. Like that's been a big part of my life, just missing things that I hate to miss, and not being able to be at certain things in certain places. So, if I could just teleport back and forth wherever I wanted to, then that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I would probably say read people's minds.
Oh, I don't want to know what people are thinking at all.
I find
especially not guys.
Yeah, it would probably go south. But I would have control over like shutting it off or not shutting it off. I'd have to choose that. But
yes, for sure.
I find people very fascinating when it comes to like
me too.
Being truthful and real with people. I'm like, you could say something to my face, and I can 90% of the time be like, you're full of crap.
I agree.
You lied at your ass, and you didn't even blink.
Yep.
So that would probably be mine. I'm a big...
Yeah, that would be up there for me too. But yeah, I think if I had control over it, because the other thing is too, is that sometimes I think you really don't want to know what people are thinking.
Yeah. Sometimes you're probably right.
Because when I think about like, I just think about it in the sense of like, if people were to know what I was thinking all the time, it would, because I don't even like my own thoughts sometimes. And sometimes they're not even really true. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you have thoughts and you're like, that's terrible. Like get that out of your head. Yeah. I wouldn't want other people to hear that,
Yeah. Yeah. I think about it in that source. I don't think I'd want people to know it's going
I'm just older, so I'm a little more cynical. That's all.
Yeah. A little bit. I mean, it'd be cool to fly too. We could fly. That'd be all right.
Yep. I wouldn't mind that.
But do you have anything you want to add?
No, I think we're good. If you're good.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you for making time for me.
Oh, absolutely. Tell Mitchell Oklahoma said hi.
Okay.
He's not going to have any idea, but whatever.
I will where is he? Is he? Oh no, I think he's in Virginia right now, maybe. But I will definitely let him know.
Is he going on tour this year?
He's finishing like his tour to promote the record. He's got like a few more weekends of that, and then he's going out with Old Dominion, I think, in the spring and summer.
What I saw that on Instagram. What's your favorite song on his album? His newest album.
That's tough. I mean, I'm a little bit biased because one of my favorites is Somebody's Got Me, but that's also because I know he wrote that song about me. I remember the day that he wrote it and he sent it to me and he said, "This is my song to you and I love you." And so that one definitely gets to me. But also I think after that, I love the one about his dad too, Walk Like Him. And I get the picture too. I love that song. I'm good friends with the other two co-writers on that one as well, so I'm a big fan of that one too.
What is there a song on any of your that you've played that are about him?
Nope. I had already put out. Let's see. Because I put that record out right around the time I met him. So I hadn't met him when I was writing for the last record, but there will definitely be some songs about him on the new one.
Okay, so I have to narrow it down.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Well, cool deal. I'll let you get off here, but thanks for getting back at me and talking to me.
Yeah, no problem. And thank you for making time for me.
This concludes episode 9 of Work Hard, Dream Big with your host, Shelby McGill. I really appreciate you guys for listening. Let us know what you think. Again, Meghan Patrick, guys.
I've done some damage to my liver and my reputation hanging with the boys down by the river. I've got a ringing in my ears and a ring I left behind from chasing that neon noise all these years.